sort of just felt like someone was pushing down on my chest.
No matter how much Tylenol I would take, like the headache would not go away.
I would wake up in tears from the pain.
It was a lot of uncertainty, and you really feel alone.
Fatigue, like I felt like I wanted to sleep for like 1,000 years.
I dealt with a lot of vomiting because I was coughing so hard.
My bills are up to $27,000.
I've had the flu. This was nothing like the flu. I'd rather have the flu every year and not get COVID-19 again.
I'm 66 years old. I have never been this sick in my life.
The symptom that lasted the longest for me was my cough, and so that cough was probably about 2.5, maybe even 3 weeks.
I woke up with a lot of energy, and that's been pretty good, much more than yesterday. However, this damn cough.
I'm now on almost 6 weeks with the fatigue, the headaches, and the chest pressure. So even though it's been milder, it's been really, really prolonged.
I actually thought a lot of my symptoms were allergy related, so I didn't really take it seriously.
I registered with a fever for 2 days.
I never had a fever the whole time, which was really surprising to me.
I never had a fever, I never had a cough, which made it really hard to be eligible for testing.
There were just some days where just walking from like the kitchen to the bathroom just winded me.
I also lost my sense of smell and taste completely for 2 weeks.
You hear about mild cases and you hear about the people in the hospital, but you don't hear about the people in between. So I was one of those people in between. I thought really hard and long about whether I was going to share my story. I was diagnosed with asthma at 18 months old. So I've been to the ER and I have never had breathing issues like this, and it's scary. Is this going to be my last breath? Am I going to make it to the hospital if I need to? I don't know. I hope I'm going to be okay, but I'm not sure. It was a lot of uncertainty, and you really feel alone.
The fevers were just uncontrollable to the point where I was just starting to hallucinate. I went about a week and a half without knowing that I had it, and I was out and doing my own thing, and because of me, I probably infected other people, you know? After being in the ER twice for this, I am stuck with a bill of over $27,000, and I'm not really sure how I'm gonna do that. I have no health insurance.
And that's when I started getting the higher fevers, the chills, waking up in the middle of the night with my bed soaked, like sweating. Then the headaches came. Then the diarrhea came and the nausea.
Here in the hospital for shortness of breath, difficulty catching my breath, cough. They swabbed me for flu. Flu is negative.
I have a heart condition, I have asthma, I have hypertension. I was worried I was going to die.
My breathing was far from normal, and I was very breathless. I realized my voice was almost a whisper. It was hard to get a sentence out.
My shortness of breath, the pain in my chest, I could hardly walk. I just felt dizzy when I was getting up. I had a severe fever.
Obviously, I was put on oxygen in the ambulance. I got there and my saturations had come up a bit on oxygen. And we started to talk about experimental trials, assuming that there's a decent chance I'm going to end up on a ventilator that afternoon.
I wasn't given a test. They're only testing people that explicitly are in the hospital for an extended period of time.
My oxygen levels fell, significantly. I think I was having trouble staying well hydrated, and my appetite was so poor and it was so hard to eat that I actually lost 15 pounds in the process.
I explored creating a will. I just wanted to make sure my last wishes would be fulfilled and that they would be explicitly in writing.
It's like the virus that won't go away. 3 weeks ago, I again had a high fever out of the blue. I hadn't had a fever in, 2.5, 3 weeks.
So I had about 10 days where I was definitely feeling better. And then about 4 or 5 weeks in, I kind of crashed again.
Healing is not linear with this. It's not like a cold where you start feeling better and every day is better, better, better.
My chest pressure came back probably worse than it had been all along.
I'm getting better. And then this past Saturday, I felt terrible all day. It's that kind of 3 steps forward, 1 step back.
Until we have mass testing, we simply won't be able to effectively lift the lockdown, and we'll be at risk of a second wave.
I actually went on hydroxychloroquine while I was still home before being hospitalized. This is why we need to do science. I think it's impossible sitting here today to say any of those medications are either good, indifferent, or bad for you.
So our hope is that COVID-19 will behave as other viruses have, meaning that once you have the infection, your body would naturally kill off those viral cells.
I am not operating on any sort of an assumption that I can go wherever I want and do whatever I want because I have an antibody.
It's not absolutely definite that if you have antibodies, you're immune. And then what is absolutely unknown is how long the immunity lasts. We don't know.
There are physicians that are out here fighting for you, essential workers who cannot hide from this. And so if you're able to, please stay home. Please stay home.